So welcome back to Deconstructing Therapy. My name is Lynn Jimenez and I'm the founder of Connect, Flow, Grow. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker. The reason for this series is either to help you understand terms that you've either heard in therapy or heard on social media, so that way you know what's going on and you know what is normal and what is not normal. Oftentimes the range of what is normal is actually a lot bigger than we think. And the other reason why I want to do this is we tend to pathologize behaviors that are either normal or we pathologize it in a way that blames the person having that experience, and we're not necessarily taking into consideration what has happened to them over the course of their life. So today we're talking about the ego, because that is one way that our experience shows up. So when I say ego, you might think of maybe a college level or a high school level psychology course where you're thinking of Freud and the id, the ego, and the superego. I'm not going to teach you about Freud today, but we are going to talk about the ego and what it means in a more contemporary way. So what is the ego? It is your ability to maintain your sense of self in the face of challenges. So what happens when you are rubbed up against or bumped up against, right? Whether somebody questions you, whether you're in a difficult period of life, moment in time, what happens to your sense of self? Are you able to rise to the challenge? Do you collapse? Do you get defensive? That's what we talk about when we talk about the ego. In many ways, the ego has gotten a bad rap, right? So when we hear ego, oftentimes we think of something bad, like that person is full of themselves or they're arrogant, and that can be a part of ego, but the ego can also show what we say in therapy is ego strength. That person has good ego strength, or that person does not have good ego strength. And what that means is when they experience challenge, it doesn't mean that you don't get emotional and that you move through challenges seamlessly. It means you don't lose your sense of self. So you don't collapse. It's not destabilizing to you. You don't become excessively overreactive and emotional. You're essentially able to regulate your emotions in a way, so you can still have emotions, right? But you have the coping skills to regulate them and then move through that challenge, whether it's problem solve, just sort of ride out that wave of emotion and weather the storm. But you're able to move through the challenge, and what happens on the other side of the challenge is you become stronger. So your ego strength becomes fortified. You recognize that you can do hard things, and that's what we want. In the next video, we'll talk about ego defenses, and when somebody does not have good ego strength, what does that look like? And then what are some ways that you can bridge that divide? So continue to build good ego strength. But I pretty much told you, right? I told you that you just need to be able to successfully move through challenges. Remember, we build up our capacity in small, tolerable doses over the course of our life. So if you feel like you do not have good ego strength, or somebody around you does not have good ego strength, they're not going to do something miraculous and take one big leap of faith, and that is going to suddenly increase their ego strength overnight. It doesn't work that way. It's continuous action, but you will notice you make gains if you do it continuously.